So hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 219 and in this video we continue with our exercise. And in my last video I mentioned that you should learn the flowchart, which I will show you here in my code after we finish the sort function here. But we are not finished with the sort function. We stopped here at step 13 and I want to continue here so that I can show you how we can use the flowchart and benefit from a flowchart instead using all time the code itself to go through the code. All right, let's continue. So, and the next step is we go here to step 14. Let's see what step 14 is. Let's find this. And it says here the step 14 is a end condition. So my loop here, what was that again? End condition, yes. So there is a condition which is called the end condition, and you can see we are using the keyword if. We make again an if statement which has a body, of course, and the condition is here. In my case, I have two pointers, and when these two pointers are pointing at the same node, which is my loop end position pointer and my swap pointer second position, then I know that the whole loop here for the sort linked list should stop, because then I know it is sorted. And let me show you this here in the diagram. For example, you can see here we have here a end pointer, and right now it's here on this node, but if this pointer switches to this point, then I know this will be my end position. All right, to see that we have to code a little bit more, which means I have to go and dive into this. Let's go to the next step, which is 15. Let's go to 15, and in 15 you can see this is all that what we do in 15. But interesting is 15 makes what? Let's copy this fast. Let's put this in our end position pointer, and we see here something strange. And what we see here on 15 is wait a second, what is that? Why is that here? First greater second. Okay. So first of all, this one is actually not included here. I have to remove this one and I have to activate this one, uncomment, because this one is actually the normal step 15, what I did before. So you can see here again, I changed this later in this step 15. What I do here is, let me show you this again. Here we reach the position where my pointer end is pointing, for example, here. And if it's pointing here, this is indicating this condition, then it will jump into the body, and then I make one more check. So the question is, wait a minute, why you are checking this one more time? So because this one, right now I said when this one is here, it's indicating already that this loop is finished, or the whole sort function is finished. So why I make here a check? And this is very important here to see. I make here a check again because this one here, there is a special case which is, for example, like this one. When you have only two nodes, then this end position pointer will be assigned exactly here to this node, what you can see here. And there will be no loop then. Why it will be no loop then? Like on the top we have here 4 nodes. Here we need a loop because you can see we have here a pointer, and the pointer must loop to the next places, right? But here, when I have only 2 nodes, it can't loop here because there is nothing. That will cause a problem. And this case, this state we can call, I have to cover. And before I cover that, I have to check the 2 nodes here, right? Because first I check these 2 nodes, and then I have also cover the next state. So I have to do here a lot of jobs And this is a special case. You can see two nodes, and one node is also a special case. You can see when I have only one node a list, then I can't even assign the second pointer here. So I will cover this one also in future anyhow. But step by step, let's see how I make this. So in this case, you can see, first of all, when the loop or we reach the point where the end position pointer is the same, points to the same node with the first position pointer. And like I said, this is an end position for the whole loop, which means then I want stop normally. So when I check this both, when they are equal, that is this one here, then I say, okay, go in, check the last two nodes. And if the last two nodes here are, you can see again, less, if the first one is less than the second one, then you make a swap. If not, you make nothing. In this case, it is not, it will make nothing. And you can see this step 50 here is just a repetition. So this one is, I think we did this already here in step 5. I just copied this one here. And if you copy, keep in mind, copying is most time danger because you miss sometimes reassigning or renaming variable names. So if you use copy paste, just check all variables again. But this one should just do the swap. And that was step 15, and you can see I have commented here out because there was again an error. Later we will cover this error, but right now this is my level 50. Let's go to the one more step. Let's go to 60. Let's see what I did. And in step 60 you can see I'm still in this end loop, end condition loop. And this time I'm defining exactly that what I told you before, and that is how I set this, how I make this clear that this one is indeed the end position. And in my case I said if this loop end position pointer, this one here, is all time set at the end, right? If I set it to the first node, and the first node is all time in my case when where the first pointer is also at the start, then I know if I compare this one and they are at the same position, then I know, okay, it's finished. And how I make this is exactly with this line here. I say, okay, get the head linked list param. In our case, you can see the head linked list param is the node, the pointer which we get in, and the pointer which we get in is our head. The head is all time pointing here, and right here head will point all time here. And I say, okay, just assign this one head where this is pointing to, this end should point exactly to the same place here. So this is just to assign, but this is not to check how I interrupt it. This is just the assignment. Now I know it's here on the first, but how I interrupt now. My next step is now interrupt the whole loop. And let's go here a little bit more. Let's go to the step 70. And in step 70, why is this not working? Let's go here. Step 70, you can see here I include this condition, what I just assigned before. Let me copy this one here. And this 70 is the while loop. And you can see here I have it already. But interesting is I forgot to put all the code what I wrote in this while loop. Why I have to put all the code what I explained to you? Not all. You can see not all. There are not this one, but all this conditional codes. This condition codes with this if, all that I have to put in a while loop, because I forgot this, I think, to put in, because I want to iterate through the linked list. I bring the biggest number here at the last position, and then I want start again, right? And the thing what I just explained to you here, this end position pointer, this if condition is just to interrupt this whole loop. So first of all, we have to put all the code in. How we make this fast? You can make this in different ways. You can create a while loop with a code snippet. I showed you this one time, I think. Let me cut this first. I make it the other way. You can just cut this out and paste this in. It's also possible and very easy. And but I hope you remember the other way, which is also very handy and nice, which is, for example, you say, hey, this whole code here, putting in a while loop, you can just use right click, and then there is called something like the snippet, and then you can learn perhaps the shortcut if you use it a lot. And then you can see surround it with a for loop, a while loop, class do, and whatever you want. These are most time a nice handy way to surround a code. It is called wrapping up, wrapper code, which means the same thing like surround the code. And in my case, I don't need it because I just pasted it in. But here, one very important note. When you put now, like me, the code in this while loop, because I said this belongs all to this while loop, it is important to know how you order your code in this while loop. Why is this very important? So you can see I have here on top a if, I have here a if, this belongs together, if else. And why is it important how you order this code? So you have to decide, come this if first or this if first. Sometimes it does not matter at all. And sometimes it matters super much. And, in the general rule is all time consider how you order your code. And I want to show you when it matters a lot. For example, let's say I have here one more if, just for test purposes, and I call it true, which means just it's all time true. And now there is a special keyword which can break my whole code here. Which keyword is that? Perhaps you know it. For example, I can use here the keyword break. And if I use this one, this little code here, what I wrote here, made it so this one starts, this one enters, because this one is all time true, and this one will break the whole loop. And you can see the order of a if statement matters, and sometimes you have this break in your if statements. You will see in my code I have a break in certain conditions, and that's why the order, how you order this if statements, these conditions, matters a lot. So that's was that, and I think we can stop here on position 17. And one more note is, interesting note is, we will talk about this one in the next step, is that you should learn or try to learn really the basics of a flowchart, because this will help you as a starter more than perhaps an advanced person, but I think even the advanced person use flowcharts. And the reason is very simple. Flowcharts will show you complex things in an easy way. You can see this function here. What I create here is not too complex, but for a starter, this is very complex, I think. It's not too complex, and I made here already many errors in it. I will show you this all with the flowcharts, how many errors I made here. But to show you this one in this code here, you can see it's a little bit messy. We are jumping, and I can't explain this in a very visual way. A flowchart explains this and represent all this code in a very visual, easy to understand way, and you will see this when we finish this one here. So try to learn this. And here one more note, just the basics. Really, you need just 3 symbols. This is this square, this rectangle, and perhaps to start an endpoint. That's it. There are many flowcharts are a little bit advanced. This kind of stuff you don't need. Only these 3 symbols, and you can model almost all things what you see here, what I have here, in an easy way. All right, with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints like all time, write it in the comments, and see you in the next video. Bye, good luck, and like all time, never give up.